Hey, I wanted to share this really interesting article from Breaking Israel News written by Adam Eliyahu Berkowitz titled Architect of UAE Tower of Babel and Trump Tower Tagged to Build Jerusalem's Tallest Building. Pretty interesting. And it says this: that Adrian Smith, the American architect who designed the world's tallest structure, the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, UAE, and the Trump Tower in Chicago, is coming to Jerusalem to plan and build a 40-story apartment building adjacent to Mount Herzl. When completed, the project will be the tallest in Jerusalem, surpassing the Holy Land Tower at 32 floors. Currently, the tallest building in Israel is the Israeli Sarona Tower in Tel Aviv, which is 61 stories tall and stands 781 feet tall. The Moshe Aviv Tower in Ramat Gan has 68 floors, but only reaches 771 feet. The announcement of the project comes right after an announcement that the UAE and Israel are in the midst of negotiations to normalize relations between the two countries. His most famous and ambitious project to date, the Burj Khalifa, took 6 years to build, and when it was completed in 2010, it became the world's tallest structure with a total height of 2,722 feet, or just over half a mile. The spiral design is claimed to be derived from the local Islamic architecture. Earlier designs indicate the spiral design has ancient regional roots. More cynical critics of the design might draw a comparison between the elegant design presented by the developers and certain depictions of the biblical Tower of Babel. Though the biblical account contains no details other than its builders' aspirations for it to reach great heights, and they said, "Come, let us build us a city and a tower with its top in the sky, to make a name for ourselves, else we shall be scattered all over the world." Genesis 11:4. And traditional Jewish sources provide additional details. Midrash described an idol on the top holding a sword, so that it may appear as if it intended to war with God. And of course it does. The Midrash also described a structure built on tall columns designed to protect the tower from another divine flood. And actually, from my research, when I talked about it in my book, was that, there was a temple at the top. They were cast out of the Garden of Eden, and they were attempting to set up shop over there in ancient Babylon region and build this tower to try to reach God, because God had removed them from the Garden of Eden. And what I discovered in my research is that the minarets of the Islamic religion are a takeoff on building the tallest towers with a call to prayer at the top, which is exactly from Babylon. Some modern scholars have associated the Tower of Babel with known structures, notably the Edamanaki, a ziggurat dedicated to the Mesopotamian god Marduk, built by the Babylonian king Nebuchadnezzar in 610 BCE. Indeed, the spiral tower design closely resembles a ziggurat, an ancient structure from the Middle East built as a terraced compound of successfully receding stories or levels. At the top of each ziggurat was a shrine. Also similar to the Azrieli towers, each ziggurat was part of a larger complex that included a courtyard, storage rooms, bathrooms, and living quarters around which a city was built. Sorry about the airplane flying over. Israel Rosenberg is an author who has a powerful connection to the spiritual implications of construction. His daytime job is as a tour guide for the Western Wall tunnels. He also noted that for the 2,000 years of exile, Jews excelled in many fields but were less represented in architecture and land development. Everything we learn about construction in Israel is just one step away from the Bet HaMikdash, Rosenberg said. Just like Solomon's temple, the third temple will be with the agreement and blessings of every nation in the world, and it will be the greatest construction project ever seen. We need to learn how to lead the world in this project. The main sin connected to the Tower of Babel was not in their action, but in their intention. The bottom line is that the intent of the builders and the architects of the Azraeli Tower is Lashem Shamayim, in the name of heaven. The fact that they envisioned a Torah scroll while designing the building is remarkable. Even if it was just for beauty, beauty can be to praise God's creation. Smith is currently working on the Jeddah Tower in Saudi Arabia. It is planned to be the world's first 3,281 feet high building and the centerpiece and first phase of development of the Jeddah Economic City project Smith designed have won over 125 awards, including 5 international awards, 9 National American Institute of Architects awards, 35 state and Chicago AIA awards, and 3 Urban Land Institute awards for excellence. This will be his first project in Israel. So the Minaret of Islam is basically taken after the Tower of Babel. I told you that King Abdullah II wants to build a 5th minaret on the Temple Mount, and somehow I believe there's going to be something built there. You know, the Jewish temple, and then you had the Turk Adnan Oktar saying that the third temple of the Jews, telling the Sanhedrin that it was going to be a mosque, and they just kind of went, yep, really? They just nodded their heads in agreement. So who knows? You know, wouldn't it be something if the shape of this building would be like the Tower of Babel structure? And it really does resemble the Tower of Babel, all the spirals, you know, going around and going up. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with that architectural project that's going to be going on in Jerusalem. And of course, you've probably seen this building in Dubai that you can see, you know, how it spirals up from the base, like the ancient Tower of Babel. And here's a rendition of the Tower of Babel itself. And here's the spiral minaret of the Great Mosque of Samarra that they showed. Looks just like the Tower of Babel, except they have completed the top. And just think about it. You know, King Abdullah II of Jordan said he wanted to build a 5th minaret on the Temple Mount. And I believe, like I said, he's going to lease some land to the Jews to build the 3rd temple. But what if he built that minaret to be like the minaret I just showed you that looked like the Tower of Babel? I'm not sure that they would go to that extravaganza on the Temple Mount to build a spiral like that, but it sure is something to think about, that, you know, that's where it all would come to an end, right there in Jerusalem, and the end of the worship of all the false gods that came out of Babylon and from the Tower of Babel to reveal the one true God on his holy Mount Moriah. I talked somewhat about the minaret being like the Tower of Babel, but I'm just thinking, what if this king would make a spiral like the Tower of Babel on the Temple Mount somehow, some way? That would really be a shock. I'm not saying he's going to, I'm just saying that they have a minaret that from the Great Mosque at Samarra looks just like it. And really interesting how these things are developing. I'm not saying he's going to build a tower like the Tower of Babel there, but You should just read that section in my book if you have it. I can't really tell you which page it's on, but probably more towards the back of the book. And I talked about the towers that they're building that will never reach unto God. They think they're worshiping God from the top of these towers, and that tower can never reach to God. So it's very interesting how things develop. Food for thought, I guess, just seeing these things. Anyway, that's my report for the day. Shalom.